We'll send you a copy of the Zoom. But as far as the radio goes, it's going to be on a radio station. And
oh, okay. So I honestly,
we're on Sirius as well, Ann.
We're what?
We're on Byline, Sports Byline as well.
Oh, okay. I honestly haven't done my hair and makeup in like 2 months. So
there's no worry. The audio part's going to only be for that. But
you guys made me do some work.
Yeah, that's Mark.
So what do you want to talk about?
I think we're going to talk about, your production company, the whole interview. We're going to talk a little bit obviously about golf with the potential coming up of
the schedule.
In June. And we'll mention Tom's TBS if we can.
Okay.
And anything else?
Well, I have I have the radio show on WFAN every Sunday morning talking golf.
Nope, that's us guys. Here we go.
Okay.
We'll be good.
And a happy Wednesday to you one and all, and welcome to the Clubhouse, 1490 WGCH, as well as 105.5 FM and WGCH.com anywhere. I'm Rob Adams, and we are joining you once again via Zoom with Mark Jeffers, Dave Torromeo, Bob Small, the whole gang. We're going to be joined by Ann Liguori in a little bit, and I have listened to Ann for a few years, I will say that, because she is just wonderful. So I'm looking forward to chatting with her. And then David Tyree later on in the show, Clubhouse report as well. Hello, Mr. Jeffers. How are you, sir?
Well, Rob, that was a nice intro, except you should mention more about my new audio system. Hopefully I sound better tonight.
It's called external microphone.
There you have it. So yes, I'm well, thank you. And how's everybody with you? How's your family? Everybody's doing okay?
Everybody's doing okay here. Everybody's surviving. Dave Torromeo, how are you, sir?
Good, Mr. Adams, Mr. Jeffers, and Bob. Good to see everybody on this call. It's a crazy time, right? Crazy time.
We have something to discuss with Bob, but we'll get to that later because there's a birthday to celebrate.
Oh,
right.
The birthday boy.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I think there's a birthday to talk about, right? A Mrs. Jeffers.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were talking about Bob Small's the way you transition to that.
There's a tie-in to that. Correct?
Oh, gosh, she's confusing me already. Yes, it is. It is my lovely wife Sarah's birthday today. So a round of applause for Sarah. She's put up with me and it's her birthday today. So
that she has
in the background, and that was her. Her birthday present.
All right. Long story short, Bob. She posted a picture of something that you like on Wednesday nights when we're all together.
And here it is.
A beverage. Flower power. There you go. We've got to take a break. We're already off and running. I'm already in trouble.
You are in so much trouble.
Just crazy chaos.
There it is.
There's the music. When we come back, we'll bring in Ann Liguori. We'll get this all back in shape. I promise. We are professionals. We'll take a break. We'll continue on the Clubhouse. Produced by 1490 AM, 105.5 FM, and WGCH.com anywhere. The Clubhouse continues right after this.
Bob, I can't hear you when you talk.
Hey, Mom. I spy with my little eyes something blue.
That box of crackers.
Yes. I spy with...
Okay, who can't you hear, Dave?
I can't hear Bob. Because I think this happened last week, too.
Oh.
And I couldn't hear him. Can you hear him, Mark?
No, but I never want.
Do you hear Bob? Bob, go ahead. Speak again. I hear you loud and clear.
I don't hear him.
Mark?
Nope. I can put the headset on. That will help.
No, I think it might be because we're not hearing him on Zoom.
Yeah, I didn't hear.
Yeah, that's why. Okay. We're not hearing Bob on Zoom.
Hearing
Okay, I get it.
Yep.
That makes sense. All right, we're getting ready to come back.
All right.
Or politics, learn all about it on Greenwich Matters every Thursday night from 6 to 8 p.m. on 1490 WGCH.
Welcome back to the Clubhouse. Busy edition once again. The producers have outdone themselves one more time as we bring in Mark Jeffers. And Mark, you're always so good with the introductions. I mean, I've already kind of teed up Ann Liguori to join us, who I've been a fan of for many years, so I'm excited to talk to her. But you're so good with the intros, Mark. Go ahead.
Well, I know, Robbie, you're again breaking my thunder, but that's okay. But before we bring in Ann, I wanted to mention a couple quick things. Our community center of Northern Westchester has been doing some great things during this epidemic. They, since March 1st, they have provided food to 3,113 adults, 397 seniors, and 1,900 children. And they've registered 240 new families turning to the food pantry for the first time. And they're making over 350 home deliveries to neighbors in need. So we always do a little special spot for them in December. And I just want to give a Clubhouse shout out and an applause to our friends at the Community Center of Northern Westchester.
That's great.
Great job, guys.
That is great. Love hearing that.
Yeah, it's big news for us. And now it is my great privilege to introduce Ann Liguori, a nationally renowned sports radio and TV talk show host, interviewer, reporter, author, speaker, business owner, philanthropist. Pronouncing it is delightful. But welcome to the Clubhouse. We're so glad to have you on, Ann.
Well, thanks for inviting me. Applause, applause, applause.
There you go.
Good to be here.
So what's going on? You're first of all, your family and you are well?
Thank goodness we are well. I'm actually in Florida right now. My mom is here. She's 94. So my brother and sister and I, we all share in her care. So I'm sticking around in Florida for a little bit before heading back to New York and working from here and just keeping busy, really busy. Thank goodness.
Good.
Well, yeah, we want to talk a little bit about some of that busyness. I mean, so you're doing your show Talking Golf, which is, by the way, big fan of, on WFAN on Sunday mornings. You're doing it from there, and it's working out okay?
Yeah, I love it. I have one of those tie lines, and I do it in my office, and it sounds like I'm in a studio. So that's great. And then I have the other show, the sports interview radio show, which is on the NPR affiliate in on Long Island, WPPB. And I normally send in tape versions of that show. I normally try to do that live in the studio when I'm back in the Hamptons. So hopefully we'll be doing more live shows in, when I get up there, hopefully in June. And otherwise I send in taped versions that I just kind of put together on my laptop. So, we're learning all this high tech during this COVID-19, and it's working out. So that keeps me busy. And I'm writing a book, and I have this, I want to try to get my sports interviews out there on TVS. And so that channel is going to launch in a little bit. That's exciting news. And then I have my charity golf foundation. My charity golf tournament was supposed to be June 25th at Maidstone in East Hampton, but we obviously postponed it. It's now rescheduled for Thursday, October 8th. And it's going to be at Maidstone, very prestigious golf course on the east end of Long Island. And we raise money for cancer research. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm keeping busy.
That's awesome.
Wow, that's incredible. I have one quick question. I'll let the boys take it over, but I want to know your thoughts on the upcoming potential, I guess, of the PGA Tour coming back in June. What do you think?
Well, it's a very ambitious schedule. It's going to start at Colonial in Texas, and there's not going to be spectators, they said, for at least the first 4 PGA Tour events. I know the Travelers is up in Connecticut, and I normally cover the Travelers every year. I go up there, and it's such a great event. It's been voted, one of the top fan-friendly events of all the tournaments on the PGA Tour. But I have to say, that's one of the 4 that they've already announced where there will be no spectators. So it will be interesting to cover golf and go up there and not see any fans and not see any spectators. So look, I hope that the PGA Tour can get all these tournaments in. And I applaud them for all getting together. What was amazing is that Jay Monahan, the PGA Tour commissioner, and Michael Wan of the LPGA, the PGA of America CEO, Seth Waugh, who I just had on my show this past Sunday, the RNA chairman, and the Augusta National folks. They all got together in redoing the schedule to get all those parties together and to get one schedule with the Masters in November. The US Open at Winged Foot was rescheduled for September. The PGA Championship rescheduled in August, and then all these PGA Tour events and LPGA Tour events rescheduled. It was one just gigantic jigsaw puzzle being put together, and I commend all of them for doing it, and they're staying very positive, and hopefully we'll have a lot of golf this year.
And it's Rob. I'm going to jump in. Wow, the applause is just flying here. And first of all,
applause.
when did you first get to WFAN?
Well, I, was the first woman to host a call-in sports show on WFAN, and
That's what I
WFAN started in 1987. So of course, I was 12 years old, and my show
I was
started.
11.
Exactly. My show was the first weekend that FAN was on the air, and it happened to be July 4th, 1987. And I knew I had to start off with a bang, so to speak. It was the 4th of July. And so a week before, I was able to get an exclusive interview with Doc Gooden, who had just gotten out of Smithers rehab. And as you know, the Mets had just won the World Series in '86,
Yep.
and he was, the ace pitcher, and the fact that he was in Smithers rehab for all these weeks and hadn't talked to anybody. I was the first one to get an interview with him, and I basically had to save it for a couple of days because I taped it a couple of days before my show debuted on WFAN. But it was quite the experience. I went right into the Mets locker room, went right up to Doc Gooden. I bypassed the PR director. He wasn't too happy about that. I knew he would not have given me the interview. He wasn't giving anybody interviews. So I went right up to
Yep.
Doc. I asked him if he had to tell him what WFAN was going to be, because he didn't really, it wasn't on the air yet.
Mhm.
And then once he said yes, he said, I said, well, do you mind if we go into the Jets locker room to do the interview? Because I didn't want anybody else to put their microphones in front of them to grab part of the interview, which would have happened once they saw me talking to Doc. Everybody would have just gathered around and taken away the exclusivity of it. So I was able to talk him into going to the Jets locker room. So in the middle of everything, he just follows me through the Mets locker room into the Jets locker room. I did like a 15, 20-minute interview with him. And I to this day, I don't know how that happened.
And
That was my very first show on WFAN.
I'm going to follow up because one thing we didn't mention is your coverage of tennis is always fantastic as well. And we haven't really talked a lot about tennis. Where does tennis fit in through everything that's going on? What have you heard?
Well, the US Open is going to remain the last week of August, first week of September. They're pretty sure that, well, I was actually on a conference call last week with the CEO of the USTA, and he made it sound like they would have fans there definitely. He said we could not hold the US Open without spectators. So they're planning on doing it. And ironically, that's the week before the US Open golf has been rescheduled, which is the week before the Ryder Cup is scheduled. So there's a lot going on. So, and then
There's
the French
a lot
Open,
going
all of them
on.
they've all been rescheduled. The French has been rescheduled, but Wimbledon was canceled until next year. And the WTA and the ATP tours are supposed to resume in July. So not until about mid-July.
We're going to grab a break here. We'll get Dave back into the mix, and we'll continue on with Ann Liguori, David Tyree, still to come up on the Clubhouse for a Wednesday night, produced by 1490 AM, 105.5 FM, and WGCH.com, anywhere. More of the show in just a moment. All right, got about a minute.
If you guys want me to be short or answered, I don't know how long this is. I can keep my story shorter if you want. I don't know how long I'm on.
You're great. You're great.
Okay. Okay, good. I mean, I could talk for hours. So,
You do that for a living, and you
like,
probably know. I'm going to probably let
was,
Dave get open with a question when we come back, and then I'm going to ask you a little bit quickly about TBS Sports, just again interviewing the archive type thing, and then we're out.
Okay.
Unless there's something else you want to bring in.
It's quick.
Yeah.
What is this? An hour show or half hour? What is how long is your show?
It's an hour. Yeah, it's an hour.
It's an hour. Okay.
And it flies, as you know.
I know, believe me. I only do 1 hour of the golf on Sunday mornings, and it's crazy. It's just so fast.
Back with you on the Clubhouse. Rob Adams, Dave Torromeo, Mark Jeffers, Bob Small's hanging around, and Ann Liguori with us as well. Dave, I know you've got a question. I'll shoot it over to you.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate that. And thank you for taking the time. I just want to say a couple of things. Number one, I wanted to congratulate you on a really terrific career because, you know, you've done a really sensational job. And I think the demographic that's on this call is kind of an important note. And I'll come back to that in a second. We were going to do a panel with Ann, Kristen Huss from the Renegades, Tamara Galloway, and Rebecca Chapman, who was with NBC Olympics back in March. And obviously we had to cancel. In fact, I think it was one of the first events canceled, unfortunately. We are going to try to do that again at Manhattanville in the fall. And Ann was kind enough, she was coming up from Florida to join us. And what I want to share with you is my counterpart in this, Kathy Meany, told me a story, and I thought it was pretty interesting. She said she was at a breakfast, and she had mentioned, you know, this panel before everything broke loose, and two men came up to her and said, "I want to attend." And this is a women in sports panel, basically sports business. And she said, "That's great. You're more than welcome." She said, "Well, what's your interest?" And they said, "We want to see Ann Liguori. We love Ann Liguori." So,
that's sweet.
You know, yeah,
that's awesome.
And that's really kind of a congratulations and a kudos to you on what you've done with your career, because I think you're mutually respected women and men and what your knowledge, obviously, of sports. So congratulations again.
Thanks so much. Well, ironically, you know, the demographic really for the stations that I'm on, WFAN, and I was one of the originals on the Golf Channel as well with the show called Conversations with Ann Liguori. And I had this sports interview show on Fox, which we'll talk about more in a second. But, you know, the demographic, the viewers for those stations is really male dominated. So I really feel as if my audience has been men. I mean, a lot of women obviously are sports fans and do listen to my shows. But, you know, if you judge it by who's calling in and who's writing you and text, you know, and emailing and fan mail, et cetera, it really is mostly guys who have been my audience, you know, for all these years. So it's great that those guys wanted to crash the party. I love it. But anyway, the sports interview show is really exciting because, you know, I did that show from 1989 to 2008. And every week I interviewed a different legend, and many of those legends have passed on. I got them when they were older in their lives, looking back at their success stories. So Mickey Mantle was my first interview, Ted Williams, Will Chamberlain, Gordie Howe, Sam Snead, Hank Aaron, Jim Brown. I mean, I have 450 plus half-hour exclusive interviews that I did for TV. The show aired for 17 years on sports regional cable networks around the country, MSG Network in New York. You know, it was just everywhere, Los Angeles, Chicago, Atlanta, Philadelphia, Florida. And it had a great run. I went out and had to sell the show. I went out and brought in sponsors for that show. It aired for 17 years because I was able to successfully bring in sponsors for it. But years ago, MSG Network said, listen, we love your work on WFAN. We could give you a time slot on MSG Network, but we can't pay you. So I thought, okay, how do I make this work? And I went out and started knocking down doors on Madison Avenue and talking to advertising executives. And, you're talking about, this was 1989. And a lot of these ad executives looked at me like I had three heads, right? You're hosting a show and you're selling it as well. But thank goodness it worked out. And now we're going to bring back these sports interview shows on TVS. We're going to launch my own sports interview channel, which I'm very thrilled about. And I'm actually working on a book where I'm picking some of my more memorable interviews and putting them in a coffee table book. So I'm just, they're just such, it's like a treasure chest of archives. It's, they're so enlightening. They're so educational. A lot of young people may not know who Mickey Mantle is or who Wilt Chamberlain was, but I think the interviews appeal to men and women, young and old, because they're so much fun. These guys were great storytellers, and I have women as well. I have Billie Jean King and Annika and Lynn St. James and Nadia Comaneci. I mean, I did this show for 17 years. So and just going back and listening and watching the shows, I'm like, wow, what was I doing when I was in my 30s and 40s? That's what I was doing. So I'm really excited to replay the shows.
It's too bad you couldn't get any A-list athletes, though. I mean, that's only Mickey Mantle and Nadia Comaneci. Jeepers creepers, right?
Well, I mean, every one of those. What's that?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, every one of those guests has their own story. How did I get him or her to sit down with me, and what was going on before the cameras went on, and what were they really like? And so those are the stories that are going to come out in the book.
Awesome.
Well, we want to have you back on, hopefully in person, where we can shake hands and say hello. We're going to hear more about the book. But I also want to ask you, really, and the TVS network, that's going to be very exciting. The sports network, you and I are working together on that as well with Tom, and I think that's going to be exciting. Your interview programs are going to drive that nostalgia channel skyrocketing. So we're very excited about that as well. But I have to ask you, what do you think with the new golf setup? Do you think Tiger Woods has it? Who do you think is going to benefit if it plays out as they're planning? Who do you think will benefit most from that? And does Tiger have a chance to win the Masters in November? What's your thoughts?
Sure. Yeah, no, because he hadn't played for months because he was having stiffness in his lower back, and he had his own tournament, the Genesis Invitational, and that was earlier in the year. And then he wasn't playing in a lot of tournaments, hoping to peak for the Masters in April. So yeah, I think time off for him is perfect because he can heal, and he can't play a lot anyway, so he's to pick and choose. He's normally just playing a couple tournaments and all the majors. But then Brooks Koepka as well, because Brooks Koepka had knee issues and he wasn't 100% until just recently. So with Brooks Koepka, when the US Open comes or the PGA comes around in August and some of these earlier PGA Tour events, I think Brooks is going to be back to 100%, and he's just incredible. So between Tiger and Brooks Koepka, I think those two great players are benefiting the most from this kind of revised schedule.
All right. Am I up again? I can be up again.
Go ahead.
You're up.
Well, no, I would love to be, because it's sort of. So tell us about some of the stuff you're doing and your marketing world. That I saw on the website, little Peak Vision.
Yeah.
No, and the reason I bring it up is that I go for a walk every once in a while, and the boys think I don't walk enough. That's another story. Well, if I'm golfing, they're great, but if I'm walking, even these sunglasses could be something cool. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, I'll send you. I'd love to send you guys a pair of Peak Visions. You'll absolutely love them. It's there are sunglasses. Go to their website, Peak Vision, PEAK Vision.com, and they're just. I've been wearing them for 10 years, and then a couple years ago I wrote them asking if I could buy another pair, because the one pair that they gave me years ago was wearing out, and it turned out there were new owners. And David and Nicholas Fieser, they're in Myrtle Beach. They bought the company, And they came down to the PGA show, and within, they said, Ann, can we just walk around with you and meet some people? And, within like 2 hours, they had, 100 contacts just being, I introduced them to a ton of people, and they were so just excited by all the excitement about the brand that I could create for them, because I wear the glasses all the time. And so they hired me to be their brand ambassador. So that is, check them out, because I just think it's like seeing through like high definition. It's like, my eyesight's not that great, but when I put these sunglasses on, it really helps my vision, and it cuts down on the glare, whether you're golfing or skiing or whatever. It really helps me. It helps people outdoors. And then the other great project that I'm doing is actually a jewelry line with sand from your favorite golf course or beach. It's called Dune Jewelry, and my collection is called the Hamptons Rope Collection. So you go to Dune Jewelry, D-U-N-E Jewelry, go to collections, and it's the Hamptons Rope Collection. I designed it with the owner, Holly Daniels Christensen, and it's great. We make cufflinks for men. You can basically send in sand from your favorite golf course, or a pine from, Torrey Pines. They're doing a whole collection for next year's US Open. And it's just a really great idea. You take natural elements, and they have a process where they can put these elements into jewelry for men and women. So they do tie clips and money clips and beautiful. My jewelry line is beautiful necklaces and earrings and cufflinks. So check it out. So those things keep me busy too. I'm glad you asked, so I could plug it.
Of course.
It's a shame. It's a shame that you're not busy, Anna. It's too bad, really. At the end of the day, I have 3 questions before Mark jumps on me, but there's just, if you could answer these questions for me: where you grew up, where you went to school, and what you would say to a young lady coming out of, like, we have a lot of women in our sport management program, and a lot of them have done well in their careers. What you would say to them as they launch their career?
Sure. Great question. Well, I actually was born in Cincinnati and then grew up outside of Cleveland. So I'm an Ohio girl, Buckeye. My father was a professor at University of Cincinnati, and then he became a dean of a community college in Cleveland. So I had a great time growing up in this.
I'm going to step in for a moment.
Brecksville.
We'll take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll wrap things up with Ann. Get ready for David Tyree. The Clubhouse continues right after this.
Sorry about that. I was trying to get that information from, as I was waving, to see if we had time for that question. She can.
That's why, Dave, we would have been so good if you just not have said that. I was kidding.
How much time do we have coming back? Do I have time to finish or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna do a quick finish and then a wrap up where they can get more information. And,
yeah.
Your website.
Okay. What do I have? About a minute or?
Yeah.
A minute or two. Yeah, should be.
That's
you
interesting.
Just tell me how much time.
I never realized the Ohio connection. That's interesting.
Oh yeah, I grew up in Ohio.
I used to be on a show like every week now, so it's okay.
I'm happy to. I used to, produce Howard Cosell's radio show. Speaking of everything at ABC, and you told him he had a minute commentary.
All right, here we go. Here we go, guys.
He didn't need a stopwatch.
David, we'll be with you in a sec.
Talk about a show that is flying by as we continue here on the Clubhouse for this Wednesday. I'm Rob Adams, Dave Torromeo, Mark Jeffers, and Liguori still with us for an extra moment before we bring in David Tyree. And you were in the middle of answering a question before we had to go to break. Please continue by all means.
I was very long-winded here. No, I just, David asked me about advice for young women who want to get into sports. And I basically just tell them to read everything they can. You have to really be knowledgeable. You can't fake it. You have to have a passion for it and really want to read and watch everything you can get your hands on. And then, be a good writer. Really work on your writing skills, because whether you're on air or a producer or in PR, you really have to know how to write different formats. And, just be yourself, work hard, and and don't take no, just keep going. Don't let people discourage you. Just, follow your dream.
Well, you've been a role model in this business, in my opinion, no question.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I do take pride in mentoring young men and women, and I just think they're so smart. With the computer, we didn't have internet access growing up, and all these young people do, and just instant access to information. So but you have to really go out and put the work in. It doesn't matter how smart you are, or what your background is. You have to have a great work ethic, and just never give up.
And thank you so much for being on the Clubhouse. Big round of applause. Tell our audience one more time where they can get more information and the things that you're doing.
Sure. Look, my website is anneliguori.com, and they can follow me on Twitter at Ann Liguori, on Instagram at the Ann Liguori, Facebook. I have a fan page on Facebook, LinkedIn, and look for those shows, the sports interview show on TVS, free streaming, and then my radio show on WFAN. So every Sunday morning.
Thank you, Ann.
Well, thank you so much, Ann.
Thank you very much.
Now,
really enjoyed it,
as
guys.
I look over, and the Zoom, the Institute of Radio, even though it's Zoom, I see that we have Mr. David Tyree, former New York Giant, my hero in the World Series with the Super Bowl, with the greatest catch ever in the Super Bowl, and now he's doing things with the Giants. I know it's going to be one of our reels that are bad. But anyway, I know my bad joke. Anyway,
no, it's not a bad joke. I have something to bring him in with.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
You want a little audio?
Yes.
Let's hear the audio.
Here it comes. I got a little audio queued up for you as soon as it's willing to play for me.
Stays on his feet, airs it out down the field. It is caught by Tyree. Inside 25 and a timeout taken.
Joe Buck on Fox, of course.
Nice.
What a catch. Mark, take it away.
David, welcome to the Clubhouse.
Welcome, David.
How we doing, gentlemen? Appreciate y'all for having me tonight.
What's going on? So you got some big things going on in your life. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with David, and when we talk a little bit about the draft tomorrow. But what's going on with you?
Oh man, life is moving 1,000 miles an hour, as it always has been. Some may know, few probably, many probably don't. Have a large family, seven children from the ages of 18 down to 6 years old, 4 boys, 3 girls. So work was kind of like a getaway for me. Now being quarantined at home, I think life might have got a little bit harder. So so that's always busy. But my wife and I, hopefully in the coming months, we open our store, our Clean Juice location, which is a certified organic juice bar concept in Morristown, New Jersey. Still working full time for the New York Football Giants, director of player engagement, and to the support of these wonderful men who get the opportunity to wear the big blue uniform. So it's been life. Like I said, you don't really retire; you just transition to the next phase, and life is happening everywhere we go. So I'm blessed to be me, and blessed to just continue to have a part in this journey, man. Good to be with you guys.
Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us. So tell us a little bit about, we have to talk about the draft, tomorrow. But I want to, before we go to that, because I know that Dave and Rob are going to want to jump in on that. So tell us a little bit about the Clean Juice shop, though. I think that's cool with your wife, and that's going to be a great event. I know right now things have been, obviously on hold. But what made you think about going into that business? I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I just turned 40 in January, so you get to a point where, of course, just like anybody, you're growing up, trying to figure out the things that you can really buy into, and healthy lifestyle, fitness, faith, family, it all kind of merges together for us. You're just trying to do the best with the life that we've been given. And Clean Juice was, we started the year last year with, I think it was a 15-day kind of cleanse. I always like to do a little body reset every now and then, and I was probably had 2 days, and I was down in the Charlotte area. Me and my buddy, we love a good steak. And I think I had 2 days left, and I was doing my best not to bust up this cleanse. And so I held tight. find me a place I can get some juice, and I end up in this place. And I just honestly, I was just really very impressed with the outfit, the service, and I was intrigued, whereas I've never really been intrigued in the idea of running a business, and probably bit off a little bit more than I could. But my wife actually agreed. And, some of us who are married might know how difficult that can be at certain times. But it was just great concept, even better people at the helm with a great story that we can get behind.
Oh, David, just so you know, it's my wife's birthday today, so she knows about, it's like, why are you having this show? It's my birthday. So, yes, we're lucky to have partners.
There you go. There you go.
All right, so tomorrow, there's a thing called the NFL Draft. You may have heard of it.
Say it again?
I said, there's a thing tomorrow called the NFL Draft. You may have heard of it.
Yeah, that little thing there.
A little thing going on. What are your thoughts? Obviously, you worked with the Giants, so we don't want any secrets. Of course, we could break some news here, but just kidding. What do you think? It seems like the first two picks are locked. Third pick, there's some question. And then the Giants, are we doing an offensive lineman? Are we doing the defensive linebacker? Just your thoughts on the draft in general.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm going to be strictly personal. I think this is kind of, in my personal opinion, it's a draft of the obvious. It's so rich in wide receiver. I think the front 20 picks will be really, really, really interesting to see how they fall. And it's going to, as every year, it's going to be interesting to see how passionate those quarterback needy teams really are. So, I think, of course, all speculation, it really will be interesting to see either what the teams like Miami does, or even what the New York Giants do. I don't have a general clue. I know that I like Isaiah Simmons a whole lot. So that's just a personal preference. It would be really neat to see a playmaking linebacker /
I'm with you, Dave. I'm with you.
It's just been a long time, man. And from the standpoint of, obviously, there's never going to be another LT, but he rushes. He rushes he can rush, he can cover, he can intercept. So, that's just a personal. I'm dreaming, and we'll see where we end up. But we got needs in a few different places, so I think right where we're at, we're in a good position to we can trade back and still be in a good position because we have so much need. So I'm excited about where we're at. So I think we're going to come with a great player.
All right, Rob.
David, it's Rob Adams. Thanks for your time tonight. I'm a history guy, and I was the one who played the call of the Joe Buck broadcast of the Super Bowl. And here you are with a catch that is. In the NFL, there's two plays that people talk about: the immaculate reception and the Tyree catch. And it's named after you. It's got to be surreal to have that attached to you. Take us inside of all of that. What's that like?
And I think, and honestly, for me, every time, the re-airing of the championship game a couple weeks ago on Fox was the first time that myself and my family actually got a chance to watch a broadcast game. As most players do, especially, I didn't play long after the catch. That was my last reception in the National Football League. So a couple more years of trying to get healthy and get back out there, have my swan song. But you're honestly living in the moment, and you're trying to move past and create the next moment. And because my life was always, just kind of moving along, I really always received it as a gift from God. I'm not trying hard to be dismissive about it. It's the greatest gift, one of the greatest gifts I could ever receive from God. But, you can't take that much credit for something that miraculous. It's kind of like there is some shared honor. It's almost like that play chose me. I call it some providence involved. So it is overwhelming because each year that passes by, I get a sense of how meaningful that has been amongst the sports world, the NFL world. And I get a chance to be a part of some neat conversations, so it's a blessing.
Dave Torromeo here. I'm not a Giants fan, but I'm actually.
We forgive that.
I am a diehard Jets fan who was rooting like heck for the Giants because, although I hate to use this word, I hate the Patriots. So I want to thank you as a Jets fan before that.
The more I can do for the AFC East, it's always fun. The Jets, the Dolphins love me.
It's true, man.
I do have a question though. Years ago, we did some events out at Yogi Bear Museum, and your helmet was on display there. Where is it now?
It's actually a good question. After, I believe it either went from there. I'm not sure. The Giants had it first in the Legacy Club. Could have went there, and then it went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I said, well, you know what? I know I'm not going to get one of them yellow jackets, but you know what? It's nice to have a piece in the Hall of Fame. So they offered to give it back. I said, no, y'all hold on to that for a little while. I think that's a place where it belongs for quite some time. And so, like for me, being a kid from Montclair, New Jersey, having this, it wasn't even a dream because I actually grew up a 49er fan and I hated the Giants because of Leonard Marshall.
I love this. Inside information. This is great.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. That's a whole other conversation there. But it turns out to be this dream career coming back home, and to have these moments playing in my backyard, Pro Bowl, Super Bowl, iconic catch, all this other stuff. To be a part of that, within 5 years in the National Football League, it's really overwhelming. And I tell people I didn't have this, super duper glimmering career, but man, I didn't leave my career wanting for anything. So it was really a great story and the way the Lord blessed me.
Awesome.
All right, so am I up? Yep, yay. All right, so by the way, David, just so you know,
Yes.
we went to Syracuse together. Not quite at the same time.
I'm up for it.
Not the same time. I'm much younger than you, David. But anyway, Syracuse was a good experience for you because you were a super special team guy back then. I remember that.
Yeah. It's actually pretty interesting. And a lot of people, no one goes to a Division I school expected to be a special teams major, right? Like, people. And I said my attitude toward the game of football was I got to be a part of this. Football was a love affair for me, and I love the game of football. I said the greatest, compliment that anyone could ever pay me was, this guy's he's a football player. I wasn't a wide receiver. I was a football player, and whatever could get me on the field and make an impact in the game is what I was looking to do. So that's how I really got my opportunity in the National Football League, and I knew I could play the wide receiver position, but I also knew I wasn't this super stud. I knew that I had.
And we're back right after this.
All right, David, we're going to come right back to you. Hang on.
All good.
Okay.
We're
All right.
strict.
We're on break for a minute.
Tell them
All
why
good,
we're
man.
so strict on time here.
Yeah.
So here's David. What we're going to do is we'll come back. We'll finish up. I want to ask you a little bit about where they can learn more about Clean Juice Shop and wrap up, and then we're good. Unless there's something else you want to promote, that's something you can think of.
Man, that's pretty it. I'll go in with the social media. We'll, get the good buzz out. Get the Jersey and Morristown excited, man. We really appreciate it.
Dad was from Montclair, New Jersey.
There we go. Special place, man.
He was a gold boxer.
No Montclair, no football for me. I'm pretty sure.
My dad played for Davis Alonzo
Okay,
State.
here we go. Back with the Clubhouse with you, 1490, 1055, WGCH.com, anywhere. Rob Adams, Dave Torromeo, Mark Jeffers, Bob Small, and David Tyree with us still. And glad to be talking with the Giant who had one of the most epic plays, certainly in the history of the National Football League, and that's pretty incredible. Mark, I'm going to shoot it back up to you.
Okay, so, we were just talking a little bit about Syracuse, so now we're going to move on to I want to get more about Clean Juice Shop, where our audience can learn more about where they can get information as you get closer to the opening, and anything else you'd like to promote, because you know what, David, that catch really was the greatest thing, as a Giant fan for me to watch. So whatever you want to promote, we would love to hear more about that. So take it away.
No, thanks so much. But like I said, yeah, check out Instagram. You'll see Clean Juice Morristown. I mean, myself, obviously, I'm Tyree85 on Instagram. That's probably my most live social media. We'll get the word out there. But really excited about coming back home. You know, due to my massive family commitments, it's kind of like a coming out party for us, my family, and you know, really being a little bit more visible in the community in a genuine way. So even though I'm from Montclair, Morristown, my grandfather lived there a long time ago. So it's going to be really neat just to get that local community give back and really offer something that's extremely healthy, certified organic, you know, juice bar concept, and bring that love and those you know, bring that love and well wishes to our community. So yeah, check out those social media followings. You can check out the website there, cleanjuice.com, get a little more information about everything the company's about. So we're really excited about that, but it's definitely draft time, big blue season, looking to you know, enhance this football team and get 2020 moving as we overcome this pandemic.
Amen.
All right, David. Thank you. Big round of applause for David. And you, by the way, you're welcome back anytime. We love having you on the show.
Appreciate you, gentlemen. Appreciate you, man. You have a wonderful week.
All right, you too.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
David Tyree joining us here on the Clubhouse tonight. This is, you know, the producers have once again just outdone themselves. I'm so impressed, Mark. I can't believe it.
That was one of my favorite interviews because, you know what, he's a really great guy and
really nice guy.
I remember watching that play, and you know, and he's done so well post, you know, the catch. You know, he's written a book and he's done some great things. So I was very happy to talk to David.
You got
and go ahead, Dave.
No, I was just gonna say, Mark got to promote his Giants and Syracuse University in the same friggin' interview. So he's, you know.
Well, you know, I do know the producers personally.
I'm surprised you don't have like the Syracuse ugly sweater in the background there.
Now, guys,
I'm making Layla wear that next time he's on.
The band is here. They are social distancing to play for you. The band is ready, though, Mark.
Bring it.
Social distancing band. Hit it.
Woo! The Clubhouse Report with your host, Mark Jeffers.
You know, I got to tell you, Bob Smalls never sounded better. Well, thank you, boys, and welcome to the Clubhouse Report. Things escalated very quickly in the NFL yesterday when it was reported that Rob Gronkowski was willing to come out of retirement from football if it meant he could play for the Buccaneers and reunite with Tom Brady. About 10 minutes later, a trade was announced with the Patriots sending Gronk and a 7th-round pick to the Bucs in exchange for a 4th-rounder in this week's draft. Gronk's agent confirmed that the tight end will play for Tampa next season. Thoughts, gentlemen?
First and foremost, I saw another story where Brady told him to take the year off because he almost came back last year. This definitely hints at some issues with Belichick for sure. And Gronk was hinting about it earlier in the day that he was going to come back, that he wasn't done. And sure enough, he's not done. Here he comes.
Basically, Belichick just he swapped the 7th round for a 4th-round pick.
What, are you talking about your cat?
Oh, boy.
Right? I mean, you
Go
know,
ahead.
Tampa does not – Tampa, it's foolish. They just gave up way too much for a guy who was one injury away from retirement. I don't think it's smart.
Well, we'll discuss that later. The NFL announced that this week's NFL draft, which we talked a little bit about, will evolve into a 3-day virtual fundraiser benefiting 6 charities selected by the NFL Foundation that are battling the spread of COVID-19 and delivering relief to millions in need. The draft-a-thon will be featured across live draft coverage on ABC, ESPN, and the NFL Network, and pay tribute to healthcare workers and first responders in a variety of ways. That is a cool thing for the NFL to do. And I know that all sports and all of our listeners are going to be excited for tomorrow night's draft in the next 3 days. The first round picks for the 2020 NFL Draft will come from right here in Westchester County. No, it's not in my living room. But from Bronxville resident and NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, who will announce the picks virtually from his basement. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of drafts, see again, transition. Bob Small taught me that. The WNBA draft was held virtually last week, and the New York Liberty selected Oregon guard Sabrina Ionescu with the number 1 pick, and I think that's going to make them a very exciting challenge in the WNBA.
The WNBA has largely been irrelevant around New York. I hate to put it in those terms, but it just has not created much buzz. Sabrina Ionescu changes things incredibly. Tickets are flying to go see her play. She's a special athlete. Good for the Liberty. Going to be a lot of fun.
This is equivalent to the Knicks getting Ewing.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. ESPN's much anticipated sports documentary series, The Last Dance, averaged 6.1 million viewers Sunday across the 2-episode premiere. The 10-part documentary, which follows Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls' quest to win a 6th NBA title during the 1990s, drew 6.3 million for its premiere episode and 5.8 million viewers for the episode 2 across ESPN and ESPN2, according to Nielsen. I'll be honest with you, I've not seen it, but I've heard tremendous things.
It is so good.
Haven't
so
seen it,
good.
I've heard the same.
Yep, it is absolutely fantastic. You learn so much. Scottie Pippen was horrifically underpaid, and that actually was fortuitous because it kept the Bulls together, and it reaffirmed everything for me. Jordan is the GOAT. Sorry, LeBron.
No doubt.
I've heard the same thing, Rob. I'm going to go along with you, and I will be viewing it soon. PGA Tour officials announced, and we talked a little bit about this with Ann, they're planning to hold the Charles Schwab Challenge from June 11th to the 14th. The golf tournament, originally scheduled for May, will be televised by CBS, but no fans will be allowed. 7 additional events are scheduled between June 18th and August 2nd. Several, if not all, of these tournaments will be played without fans in attendance, with the guidelines to ensure the players are able to practice appropriate social distance. And you know what? We talked a little bit about that with Ann.
Yep.
The little joke that I wanted to bring up, though, is when the 4 of us play golf, there'll be lots of distancing because of our shots.
That was a little joke.
And instead of a little joke, the first NBA horse challenge is in the books. After an interesting 2-day event, Utah Jazz guard Mike Conley took home the title thanks to his indoor gym and his ambidextrous, you say that 3 times fast, boys. After cruising past WNBA legend Tamika Catchings in the first round, Conley beat retired guard Chauncey Billups in the semis and Chicago Bulls guard Zach LaVine in the finals. Again, did you guys watch it? I thought it was kind of interesting.
I didn't really see a lot of it.
All right. And this is for Bob Small. The 20 Tour de France has been rescheduled for August 29th through September 20th, according to the governing bodies UCI and organizers ASO. Bob,
That'll be
you're
interesting.
sure of that?
He did. He
I
heard
didn't
it.
hear, until I heard of you, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to be good. They think that the times could be better, and if there's no audience, which they're still working on, it's going to be crowded. It could be good. And finally, our thanks to Grant Gregory and the Glen Arbor Golf Club, where our friend Rob Ritz is the PGA Pro, for generous donation of hundreds of wood-fried pizzas to Northern Westchester Hospital doctors and nurses coming off the night shift. And that, my friends, will wrap it up for this week's Clubhouse Report. Rob, back over to you.
I mean, that was, wow. I'll let the band finish. I'm speechless.
You know, there's a silver lining in everything, and the silver lining in this disaster is that Mark isn't reporting on soccer.
No, and he didn't even write that down. He just had it outlived.
Wow. Dave Torromeo from way downtown. Bang.
Right.
Mark, that was the best pandemic version of the Clubhouse Report I've ever heard.
And it may have been the first. Just kidding.
I think it's our second at the very least.
There you go. I know. Well, last week we were so crowded with guests, we were jammed. He's always, he has his fingers up in the air. That means Dave wants to stay.
No, just
or go to the bathroom. I'm not sure.
I do have to go. But the point is, so to queue up next week, we have some great play. Terry Hamratty, former Notre Dame, former Pittsburgh Steeler. Lou Marinelli, the head coach at New Canaan High School. We may have on a guy who's going to be drafted tomorrow night, Lucas Niang.
Yep.
Tackle with Texas Christian. He could land anywhere, and he could land with the Jets.
He could. He's a big-time athlete. Yeah, it could be a really good show next week. We're still trying to put the pieces together. One thing we didn't get to in the Clubhouse report because it was kind of fresh this afternoon was the Red Sox getting literally a slap on the wrist. Literally.
I did not see that, but yes, they're. All right, before we go, though, I want to be. The draft is tomorrow or 3 days. What are we thinking? We've talked a little bit with our guests, which probably have more knowledge than we do, but I personally think there's going to be major moves.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think the Jets will go offensive linemen, but the Giants they may move. I don't want to disagree. I think they may move to take
the Giants. The Giants are up to something. Yeah. I really think they're up to something. And I'm not convinced the Redskins are going to stay put. For some reason, I feel like the Redskins may have something up their sleeves as well.
Yeah, I would just say that the whole first round at least might hinge on Tua. Because
good. I like that.
Because Tua he's either the dumbest person on the planet who can't play quarterback in the NFL, or the guy who's going to change to the elite quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. It's one of the two. And who believes which? And is it Miami? Is it the Redskins? It's going to be very interesting.
Very interesting. The Dolphins need a quarterback. Is Tua worth the risk? That's the question at the end of the day.
I like Herbert better, but yeah, that is.
No, I would agree as well. And the other thing is, real quickly, is we haven't talked about this. We should at some point, but I know we've run out of time. The NFL, if indeed we do have an NFL season, there's going to be a new playoff system.
There is going to be a new playoff system, a new structure, and a new schedule of games. Yeah, it's going to be a different year.
Don't say if. Please don't say if.
I know. There's so much if. I know. The NHL says they're coming back. Golf says they're coming back. NASCAR is coming back. Let's go. Let's get going. As long as we can all be safe.
Absolutely.
This is America.
Great show, boys.
See you next week.
You got it. Dave, see you next week.
Thank you.
Bob, thank you. Thanks to Ann Liguori. Thanks to David Tyree. A lot of fun doing it. We will do it again next week. Looks like a football bonanza is likely the lineup, but as always, keep your eye open and keep listening to me on Doubleheader on WGCH. I'll keep you updated. For the whole gang, Bob Small, Dave Torromeo, Mark Jeffers, Ann Liguori, David Tyree, Joe Buck, what the heck? For all of them, I'm Rob Adams. Have a good night, everyone. For my cat as well. We'll see you next week on the Clubhouse, 1490 WGCH 105.5 FM and WGCH.com. Anywhere. As always, stay safe, everyone. Good night.
AM 1490 and FM 105.5 WGCH Greenwich.
How come I can't?
All right.
Can I hear Bob now?
Now, you heard Bob at one point.
But I was getting an echo when that happened, too.
I can hear him now.
Yeah, there was an echo.
Turn on my mic.
There was an echo going on at one point, and I'm not sure why.
Good show, guys. No, it was good. And
it was a really good show. I thought it was great, actually.
No, they were terrific. They were.
We got our timing much better this time.
Yeah.
Well, it helps, because we have this chat option here. So we, I just, in terms of like the timing, I know we like these hand signals, but if we want to use that to say, hey, we have 2 minutes, don't ask like a lengthy question.
Yeah, there are ways we can adjust on it for sure.
It's good though. It's good.
Yeah.
Except for Except for the
Mark?
Mark's glasses, it's good.
You want to see my
You do
molars?
sound better though, Mark.
Hey, Dave, look at my molars.
I love you, Mark.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
You sound better.
No,
Yeah.
when Bob Small says I sound better, then God knows
Yep.
it's all worth. Wow.
That is the stamp of approval right there.
There it is.
So, again,